It's a very, very auspicious day when these great personalities, they have appeared on this planet just so that we all can understand who are real superheroes. Yes, wearing undergarment outside doesn't make a person superhero. So many kids, they have the superheroes: Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. But actual superheroes are these acharyas, actual heroes. More we hear about them, more we understand that they are not ordinary personalities. They are not ordinary personalities for sure. Therefore, hearing about them is very, very important. Naturally, what happens is, it's very natural for a living entity, human being, to have some celebrities in life. Naturally, we are attracted. And we all have had celebrities in the past. I don't know if in the present also. Those celebrities, mortal beings, should be replaced. And who will replace them are these great personalities. And therefore, these personalities, they appear and show to all of us that who are the real superheroes and how to actually do devotional service. So yesterday we saw that how Srila Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur or Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he did various activities in Jagannath Puri, before that sometime in Mayapur. And after that, when there was a threat to the life of Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, so at that time Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he sent Sri Siddhanta Saraswati to Mayapur. He said a yoga peeth needs people. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes that now yoga peeth, there is nothing around yoga peeth. It is a remote place and no one is going there properly for worshipping the lordships. Even on being paid, people are not going there. Such a critical situation this is. Oh Siddhanta Saraswati, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, please go there and do the needful. When I was reading about this, I was just thinking, a remote place, yoga peeth? Now there is no place to walk. On the street also it becomes so difficult to walk now. And the entire place is always filled. That entire place of Mayapur is always filled with people. All glories to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Can you imagine the massive service that Srila Prabhupada has done for the entire mission? That entire Vrindavan and Mayapur is now filled with people, Obviously people coming to TOVP to see TOVP to take darshan of Panchtattva Radha Madhav is okay, understood. But the same people, they go to these different places also because they get to know from TOVP, from Chandrodaya Mandir, oh there are some places like this. And they go to visit those places also. You can see what Srila Prabhupada has done. But seed was sown by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And that's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, that I have sown the seed, the plant is growing, but then no one is there to take care. You please go and take care of that place. And one important thing is that hardly people are coming to do seva there. And along with that, across the river in a place called Kulia, there were the caste Goswamis. And they were creating a lot of ruckus. And they were speaking against these devotees. They were going against this place Yoga Peeth also. So Srila Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati, he was not very inclined to go there. So he decided that I'll remain somewhere in seclusion and do my bhajan without taking charge of Yoga Peeth. At that time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very heavy. Hear this what he says. Do you want to abandon this world, neglecting service to Mahaprabhu? Such avoidance of responsibility would be like the renunciation of Mayavadis. How can Siddhanta Saraswati take all this? Then he accepted. Reluctantly accepted. He didn't protest anything, but he accepted the seva and he went there. He went to Mayapur, he went to Yoga Peeth. Now this was in the year 1905. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was 31 years old. When I was reading this, I was feeling she was so much ashamed because our age is also something similar. That what we are doing on what these acharyas did, therefore they are they and we are we. And a huge difference. 31 years old. He went to Yoga Pit, and there he took a vow that every day he'll chant 3 lakh names. 3 lakh means how many rounds? 192 rounds. This was daily quota. He took a weekly quota, he took a monthly quota also. Monthly quota was that I will chant 1 crore names. Now I was using my calculator and then trying to calculate. So 192 rounds for 30 days is 5,760 rounds per month. But 1 crore names means 5,787 rounds. So I was chanting 27 extra rounds. And I was thinking, oh, that's too much. That's too much. And this entire thing was, he had taken a vow called Shatakoti Nama Yagya. He wanted to chant 100 crore names. These are our acharyas. These are our acharyas. Look at them. Now, which beads he was using for chanting? That is also very nice to hear. Now, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati took this vow. But where will he get these ideas from? Because Bhaktisiddanta Thakur also had taken this vow and he did his bhajan like this. So Bhaktisiddanta Thakur had chanted 100 crore names, 1 billion names on certain beads, some certain Tulsi beads. So Saraswati Thakur chanted on the same Tulsi beads to complete his Shatakoti Nama Yagya. And following the footsteps of Bhaktisiddanta Thakur, Saraswati Thakur, even our dear Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Sri Vrindavan Dham, even he would spend a lot of time chanting the holy names. Lot of time. See, unless and until you don't have taste, unless and until you don't have faith, there's no question of doing this massive service of chanting. Not possible. Not possible. Therefore, we sang today, Ekaki amar nahi paya bal Harinama Sankirtane. I alone cannot do this. I alone cannot chant. I don't have strength to chant the holy names of the Lord. And that's a fact. The fact that we are Baddhajis, the fact that we are in this material world and we are Baddhaji, it proves that it will be very difficult for us to chant the holy names of the Lord. Continuously like this, on and on and on and on. But you know what? Unfortunately or fortunately, the target is we have to reach this stage before we leave our body. 24/7, the tongue should keep moving. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I don't know how it's going to happen. But it has to happen. And it's only possible by the mercy of these acharyas who have the taste. Therefore we sang, Tomhe kripa kori Shraddha bindu diya Deho Krishna namadhane. They can give us because they have it. They can give us because they have it. Therefore it's very, very important to note that these acharyas in the parampara, they are not ordinary. They have all the power to bestow this mercy onto us and give us Krishna. Give us taste for chanting the holy names. Give us that attraction and attachment towards their lordships. They can give that. So such occasions, when we exclusively meditate on these personalities, we should pray to them. We should keep our current situation in front of them, present our fallen state in front of them, and beg and pray to them that please shower your mercy. Please shower your mercy. You chanted 100 crore names. I don't know in one lifetime if I'll be able to do that. If I live for 100 years also, I think it will be difficult. We chant 16 rounds. One round is 1,760 names, if I'm not wrong. 728, okay. So chalo, approximately let's consider it as 1,800. Let's consider on the higher side. 1,800. 18 into 16. How much it is? Just check. 28,800. Just sochiye abhi 1 crore, 100 crore. Therefore, when we read about these acharyas, the first thing that will happen is, we'll naturally become humble. Whoever is thinking that I am nice devotee, I chanted extra rounds, extra 2 rounds on this special occasion and all that, all gone, all shattered, everything into powder. He took 9 years, 4 months to complete this vow. Shata Koti Nama Yajna. 9 years, 4 months. Continuously. It is described from 1905 to 1909. For these 4 years, he stayed in Yoga Peeth. So at that time, Yoga Peeth had got a lot of grasses which were grown huge size. He cleared a patch of land and there he created a hut. Now, according to the Alankar Shastra, green color represents Viraha Bhav. So Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he built the hut, he made it green. And at the same time, he used to use other green items like wearing a green shawl during winter, writing with green ink. So in this way, he started living there. And he wore only plain unstitched cloth, up and down. No question of pant, there's no question of shirt. No question of sweater also. Just imagine when we had been to Mayapur, it was so cold. And at that time, it will be even more cold because a lot of greenery might be there at that time. No sweater. He gave up footwear. At times, the feet would bleed, but still he'll not wear. Once, daily, he cooked plain rice in a clay pot. No salt, no pepper, no spice. And he ate that just once. Nothing more than this. He slept minimal. But obvious, 192 rounds. So how much time remains? He slept minimal. That too on the earthen floor without any mat. He bathed in Ganga and rest of the time chanted day and night. That's very nice to note that this hut that he had made, it was a patched roof hut. So whenever it used to rain outside, it used to rain inside also. And what would Siddhanta Saraswati would do at that time? Chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra continuously. In this mood, he went on and on. And when Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj heard this, he became extremely happy, extremely pleased. And he said, I see the renunciation of Sri Rupa Raghunath manifest in my Prabhu. So Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj would call Saraswati Thakur as Prabhu. Srila Rupa Raghunath's renunciation in my Prabhu. Can you imagine? If a spiritual master feels like that and if he is pleased, what else is needed? What else is needed? And another very important thing, someone might say, oh, Papa ne inko bheja tha manage karne ke liye chanting karte baithe. For your information, even while executing this vow, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he did many other things also. Please hear. First, he managed the affairs of Yoga Peeth. Second, wrote extensively including an elaborate commentary on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which he completed in 1916, that is at the end of the Vrata. He spoke at length to the occasional visitors. I don't know how, he had 24 hours or 48 hours. Yes. And even when he was there like this, like a hidden sadhu only, who will know him in a secluded place? He was living like an hermit. But still many great Pandits from Vrindavan, from Jagannath Puri and all would come to solve their various doubts, philosophical doubts, sitting there in Yoga Peeth. These are our acharyas. They can sit hidden at one place, but still they'll be known everywhere. Same with Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj also. He would not preach also, but still people would come to him to take his darshan and ask various questions to him, which he would not answer. In 1906, once Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur was in Kulia. So by the way, this is all happening during the time of his vow. So every day, 3 lakh names. Every month, 1 crore names. And the entire Vrata was 100 crore names. When all this thing was happening, in between that, 1906, he was lecturing in Kulia. And there he was speaking about the 3 categories of devotees. Kanishtadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, Uttamadhikari. And he quoted 2 shlokas describing Kanishtadhikari and Madhyamadhikari from 11th canto, 2nd chapter, shloka 46-47. And then he started describing about Uttamadhikari. 11 to 45, Srimad Bhagavatam. Now he described that shloka which says, Sarva bhuteshu ya pashed bhagavad bhavam atmanah bhutani bhagvat atmani esha bhagavatottamaha. The most advanced devotee sees within everything the soul of all souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Consequently, systematically sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and understands that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord. And after he chanted the shloka and explained the shloka, then he said that what more can I explain on the shloka? And he made a very nice point about his Guru Maharaj. He said, my Gurudev, the personified manifestation of this statement of Uttamadhikari presently resides among us in Kulia. Anyone competent to study his character will be able to appreciate the meaning of Uttamadhikari. So basically his point was, you go and see my Guru Maharaj and study his character. That is what is Uttamadhikari. And Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he was not knowing that even Gaur Kishore Baji Maharaj was sitting in the class. So when he was just looking around, at that time he spotted his Guru Maharaj. As soon as he saw his Guru Maharaj got up and left. He did not want to hear more praise in the entire assembly. Therefore, there's a very nice thing to note that all these acharyas, they are Uttamadhikari, they are all great souls exalted directly from the spiritual world who have come to deliver us. See, these all different pastimes, they authenticate these different personalities, that how great they are. A personality like Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he is giving a stamp that yes, Srila Gaur Kishore Baji Maharaj is a Uttamadhikari. Now what else is needed? Therefore, Guru Sadhu Shastra are very, very important to understand who is Uttamadhikari and who is not. Yes. At times, now this Gaur Kishore Baji Maharaj, he was in Kulia. But Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was there in Navadvip, in Yogapeeth. So sometimes from Yogapeeth, he would send fruits and vegetables to Gaur Kishore Baji Maharaj. And someone would come to deliver that. And then when it would be given to Gaur Kishore Baji Maharaj, you know what he would do? He would take those fruits and vegetables, touch it to his head, touch it to his heart, offer it to Nityananda Prabhu, and then honor it. My Prabhu has sent. My Prabhu has sent. Look at the respect that Gaur Kishore Baji Maharaj would give to Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur. So 1905, as I said, from 1905 to 1909, Saraswati Thakur resided in Yogapeeth. But then some things happened and he had to leave that place. And in February 1909, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he shifted to another place, which is very close by, to Yogapeeth. And there he made a hut with bricks. And then he continued his vrata there. Now, I really wonder, how did he complete his vrata, doing all this? Shifting of the house, going to different places to do prachar, talking to people, managing the affairs of Yogapeeth, fighting with people when they would come. So he shifted to a location, a place, which was the house of Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya. His wife was Malati, and Malati was sister of Sachi Mata. So that's how this entire thing comes into picture. Now for your information, obviously Chandrasekhar Acharya is uncle of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that place, our Saraswati Thakur called it as Vrajapatna, town of Vraja, where Lord Chaitanya performed various pastimes, basically a drama on the Vrajalila pastimes of Krishna, the Vraja pastimes of Krishna. And this is the same place where today we have Sri Chaitanya Mutt. Same place. So the last time when we went, the place what we saw, the Bhajan Kutir, which is just opposite to the Radha Kund in Sri Chaitanya Mutt. That is the mutt that is the place that we're talking about. The brick hut that was made, and he chanted, this particular vrata. And there we also saw the Shila, if you remember. We saw that, I don't know what to call it, as granite or whatever. So that was the stone on which Sri Siddhanta Saraswati would honor his prasad, Gograsa. Yes, if you remember, that also we described. And he went on and on doing his bhajan in this place, always absorbed, visualizing that place non-different from Radha Kund. Therefore, by the mercy of Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we have Radha Kund in Navadvip Dham. One thing is very clear from this entire pastime, that how much deeply and with great absorption that our acharyas do sadhana. They need not do all this, are liberated souls. Then why they are doing all this? To set an example for all of us that how one has to go deep in Krishna consciousness. There should be a point in life where the devotee is just absorbed in chanting the holy names of the Lord. Thinking about Krishna, being fully Krishna conscious in the language of Srila Prabhupada. Fully Krishna conscious. And we see that in them. And this was all preparation for his fiery preaching that is going to come up soon. He is preparing himself, with all these different things. Therefore, one thing is very clear, that when it comes to we sadhakas, we bhaktas, firstly we have to dip ourselves fully in Krishna consciousness, like a sponge dipped in nectar. And then when we're completely dipped, say the sponge is dipped in honey, and when you remove the sponge, the honey is dripping. That dripping of honey is preaching. That dripping of honey is preaching. Is anyone who comes in touch with that sponge, naturally he'll get the sweetness of honey in his hand. He can taste it. Yes. But when a dry sponge goes around, what will happen? He'll go around to various gutter and soak all that and come back. But when the sponge is completely filled with nectar, filled with honey, it goes around, it will not soak anything, but it will give to others. So now we have to check, which situation we are in. Are we a dry sponge going around and wiping all the dirt of people? There were sometimes devotees say, I got contaminated today when I went out. Why? Dry sponge. You will not see that the great souls, when they go out, they will not get contaminated. But what to do? We are dry sponge. And nothing is there. Little bit honey here and there. Sometimes we get by the mercy of superiors. And we think, anyways, now I'm fully realized, a lot of honey is there, I'll go and distribute. But then later we understand, no, I'm just a dry sponge. And I'm all capable of absorbing all the contamination as soon as I touch some other person. Therefore, our acharyas are making it very clear. One has to be fully absorbed in one sadhana. And then one goes out for doing preaching. And when we go out for preaching, at that time we can do amazing service for the entire mission. Amazing service for the entire mission. Therefore, this point is very, very important. Be absorbed and then make others absorbed. Another question which comes is 24/7 absorption to mushkil hai abhi. We cannot do that. Yes. We cannot go to Yoga Peeth and build our own hut and sit there and chant now. We cannot do all this. But whatever time we have, at least usme to absorbed ho jaye without getting distracted. Whatever time we have. Some people might be giving 4 hours for sadhana. Some people might be giving 6 hours for sadhana. Some people might give only 2 hours of sadhana. And sometimes when I ask devotees, how is your sadhana going? Chanting is going well, Prabhuji. What about rest? Aur kya hota hai? Aur kya hota hai sadhana? Oh, chanting. Prabhupada said this is mandatory. Chanting is mandatory. So chanting is mandatory. Therefore, one has to be absorbed in sadhana and then go out and give Krishna consciousness to others, make others absorbed. Obviously, it can be simultaneous also. Now, when this entire vrata was going on, when it was done, the entire vrata was done to a certain extent. Some part was still remaining, but to a great extent, it was done. Then there was one great controversy that was going on in the entire India at that time. This was in the year 1911. Great controversy. See, he was staying in Mayapur, but sometimes he would go out to preach. And his preaching was very clear. Wherever there are apasampradayas which are sprouting, he'll go to that place and attack them and crush them into powder. His preaching was only this. There's no question of going to newcomers and preach them and get them. His main preaching was this: go and thrash all the upper sampradaya personalities. So sometimes it would go out for this. And during all these things which were going on, there were some smarta brahmanas, to be more specific, karmajada smarta brahmanas. These people had their own misconceptions. Two misconceptions mainly. They had this thing that even if a Shudra takes Pancharatrika Diksha, still he cannot do Shaligram Puja. He cannot do deity worship. And second thing that they had was, if one is not born in a Brahmana family, even if he is a Uttam Adhikari, he cannot become an Acharya. These were the two things which they are fully convinced of and which they are preaching about everywhere. Just imagine if this was the case in the entire India in 2024, none of us would be doing any deity worship and none of us would have any value of taking initiation. No one would have valued any one of us, because mostly you see that what Srila Prabhupada did, he preached far and wide, and people from all walks of life, they entered Krishna consciousness, they took initiation, and that's how they became devotees. Therefore you see, when Srila Prabhupada got his Western disciples for the first time, there was a great chaos. That how come the Swamiji is giving initiation to Mlechas? There was a great chaos. If this thing, which I just spoke about the Smarthas conceptions, if this had been prevalent to a great extent like it was before, then when Srila Prabhupada did this, it would have been a great chaos in the entire India then. No one would have accepted. No one would have accepted ISKCON as an organization also. Because ISKCON is filled with all people, not just a Brahmana born. Yes. Therefore, this is a very, very important contribution of Saraswati Thakur. What he did, Srila Bhaktisiddanta Thakur, he preached vigorously against all this. But still, there were times when this was not getting established properly. And when this entire controversy was going on, to sort out this controversy, there was a great conference that was held. This was in Midnapur district of Bengal. Many great Pandits, spiritual leaders, they were invited to that place. And Srila Bhaktisiddanta Thakur was supposed to go there and speak. But what to do? Srila Bhaktisiddanta Thakur was bedridden at that time. Rheumatism, that is joint pains and pain in the muscle and all that. So because of that, he couldn't go. And he was lamenting that who will go now? And one day he rolled and he said, is there no one to establish the truth and put these lowly people down and the practices down? Is there no one available like that? There's no response, by the way. No response. But at that time, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was writing a paper. And this paper was an amazing paper. The conclusions concerning the comparison of the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. And he presented this paper to Bhaktisiddanta Thakur. Bhaktisiddanta Thakur was bedridden at that time. When he read that, he got up, he sat down, and he was in great ecstasy. Great ecstasy. And he said, Saraswati, truly, truly Saraswati. Truly, truly, he is the Acharya, sun illuminating the face of the Vaishnava world. By the light of these judgments, the darkness of Karmajada Smartha's doctrine will certainly be soon dispelled. How much happiness these personalities are giving to their superiors? Bapare. How much? It's very clear, from these personalities, they're setting an example that our life is meant to give pleasure to our superiors. And whatever they would do, it would be just for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. Nothing else apart from that. The day came, the day of conference. Friday, 3 p.m., 8 September 1911. At that time, Srila Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur was 37 years old. He left his place on 6 September. Conference was on 8 September. He left at 6 September. And the place was Midnapur district. And the place name where the conference was getting held was Balighai. And with Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktisiddanta Thakur's one follower named Sri Yukta Suresh Chandra Mukhopadhyay, He joined. He went with him. Now from other sampradayas also people had come. From Vrindavan some people were there. Sri Madhusudan Goswami from Radharaman temple. Srila Vishwambharananda Deva Goswami from Shyamanand Prabhu's line. And there was another follower of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur called Sri Sitanath Bhakti Tirtha Mahashay. They all were present in that place. Because this assembly was not a normal assembly, it was not a normal conference. If this conference wouldn't have happened, you can imagine, it would have been very difficult for anyone to practice devotional service as a Vaishnav. There would have been no status of a Vaishnav. So Srila Saraswati Thakur, he came there, conference began. He presented his paper. In that there were two sections, Prakrita Jana section and Harijana section. So when he started speaking, he started glorifying the Brahmanas. And the Brahmanas were extremely happy. They were so happy that they were saying to each other, oh, so many glories of Brahmanas are there in Shastra and we were not knowing. And when the glorification of Brahmanas started, they all started hearing Saraswati Thakur with rapt attention. So this is the way you catch the attention of the audience who don't want to hear you. And after that, he started explaining and defining who is a Brahmana, who is a Vaishnava, what is the qualification of Guru, and all that enthusiasm and rapt attention that was there to hear Saraswati Thakur, everything got spoilt. They were not able to hear what Saraswati Thakur is speaking. They were not interested to hear. They were not interested to hear at all. And after he presented his entire set of arguments, no one from the opposing party could speak anything. Whoever was there, few people who had some confidence to speak anything against Saraswati Thakur, when they came forward and they put forward the argument, Saraswati Thakur cut all the arguments into pieces. In the entire conference, there was a huge crowd. A lot of Vaishnavas, there were a lot of Smarta Brahmanas, and so many people were there. And when this was happening, when Saraswati Thakur cut all the arguments possible, and he was victorious, there's a huge uproar glorifying Saraswati Thakur at that time. On the final day, now who will speak on the final day, the concluding talk? It was given to Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. For 2 hours, he gave a concluding talk. And it went on and on and on. And that was the last closing class on this topic of Brahmana and Vaishnav. And after this entire talk was done, and no person from the opposite party had any hope now to put forward any argument, at that time, the entire crowd started running towards Saraswati Thakur to take the dust from his feet and put it on the head. And the guards there, they got scared that what will happen to this great personality. They took Saraswati Thakur forcibly to another place, and forcibly they took the feet of Saraswati Thakur and washed it. They got the forcefully done Charanamrit. For your information, Saraswati Thakur would never allow anyone to touch his feet. Even if someone bows down to him, he will also bow down. So in this way, he was not at all agreeing to this, but forcefully, this was the word that was used, forcefully these guards took the feet of Saraswati Thakur and washed it, and then added buckets of water to that, and then distributed to the entire public. When they got Charanamrit, they were satisfied to a very great extent. And the description says the Charanamrit got over immediately. These are our acharyas. These are our acharyas. So many people want the dust of their lotus feet. And we are so fortunate, willingly they are giving their dust of their feet to all of us in the form of their instructions. How fortunate each and every one of us are who are connected to this Brahma Madhva Gaudiya ISKCON Sampradaya. How fortunate all of us are. If Saraswati Thakur wouldn't have done this service, what would have happened to all of us? Surely just imagine when the image of certain class of people is down, no one would want to join that group. No one. Only when some group is growing and flourishing and their character is seen that it is getting transformed and the character, is glorified. At that time, naturally, people become interested. Oh, I also want to be part of that group. They're so happy, they're so blissful. But as soon as there's a huge crowd which keeps talking ill about that crowd, about that group, that too shastrically, then naturally people not be interested to join that group. And just imagine if this particular conference wouldn't have, what to say, done, and if our Saraswati Thakur wouldn't have been victorious, what would have happened to all of us? Such an amazing service that he has done, such an amazing service. I don't know if you all are able to comprehend. Another very, very important service that Sri Siddhanta Saraswati did for all of us was like this. There's another controversy in the same year, 1911. And this controversy was about the name of Gauranga. So many smarthas, they started saying, in the Shastra, there is no reference to Gauranga. And devotees were telling, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, Antya Leela, Adi Leela. Who cares for Chaitanya Charitamrita? Tell us something from Vedas, Puranas, Upanishads. People are not able to present, devotees are not able to present. And when it comes to us, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we have got 7 Gayatris, which are given to us during second initiation. And the fourth and fifth Gayatri, they are the Gaura Gayatri. Those are the mantras related to Gauranga. The names of Gauranga are there in that. So they started saying, this Gayatri that you people are chanting, having the name of Gauranga, is not bona fide. And another painful statement that they were making, which was very, very painful for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, was that the personality whom you are worshipping, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is not Supreme Lord, he is just an ordinary devotee. Another thing that they were saying is, this deity worship of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is false, is not proper. Now, this was a huge controversy that was going on. And the heart of Gaudiya Vaishnavas was breaking. Now what? They had reference from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Mangal. Now what references they will give? There was a requirement of a great scholar. And this great scholar who was busy doing his Satakoti Nama Yagya was called for. And there was a huge conference again held. And many, many Smarthas came, many, many Gaudiya Vaishnavas came. This was in Navadvip. And the place name where this got held, this entire conference. What was the place name? Oh, Bada Akhada Hall. Very difficult to pronounce also. Bada Akhada Hall. So this was in Navadvip, and all the Vaishnavas came there, all the devotees, all the Smarthas, and we have here the scholarly person who entered that place. And he started speaking. The Smartha said, we want proof from so-and-so Shastra. And Saraswati Thakur, he started quoting one after another. He started from Atharva Veda, then from various Upanishads, from various Puranas, and finally a lot of references from Srimad Bhagavatam. There are 250 references, by the way. 250 references from the Shastra. He gave these different proofs. And he forcefully and brilliantly proved the eternality and the glory of name, form, qualities and pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Again, a very, very important thing. Many of us, in fact I can say most of us, we were not knowing who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before coming to ISKCON. And just imagine, if Shastrically also it is proved that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not God, where is the question of accepting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Supreme Personality of Godhead? Even after hearing the references from Shastra, many devotees, in ISKCON itself, for a good amount of time, they struggle to accept Lord Chaitanya as Supreme Personality of Godhead. I myself met, a couple whom I was speaking with. It was so difficult for them to accept. Yes. Even after giving so many references. Now just imagine if there are no references. And if it is proved by the Smarthas that no, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not God, what would have happened to us? So if you are able to worship Gauranga and Nityananda, and people all around India, they are accepting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Supreme Personality of Godhead, non-different from Radha and Krishna, this is the contribution of Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. If he wouldn't have been there, what would have happened to us? We would have not got the opportunity to worship Gauranga and Nityananda. Because you see in ISKCON, what do we say? Give Shastric proof. Correct? This is what we say. Give Shastric proof. And in why Shastric proof? If these Smartas would have proved Chaitanya is not God, done. Where's the question of worshipping Lord Chaitanya? So in this way, he established the supremacy of Lord Chaitanya in that assembly. And in that assembly, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was also sitting. It was Navadvip. He was sitting and hearing the entire class. And it is said that Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was extremely pleased with his disciples. Very wonderful, glorious, scholarly class on Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Again, pleasing the superiors. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada, in some places, he spoke about this. That when all these things, our Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was doing, going and violently preaching. At that time, there were times when people were not liking him at all. So Srila Prabhupada says, once these people conspired to kill him, my Guru Maharaj told me personally, Srila Prabhupada is saying this. So there were times when Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati, they met, and Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur told him that there were times when people were about to kill me. And that too, this was not just SI. There was a proper plot to kill him. They went to the police station there, they spoke to some authority there, and they had 25,000 at that time. 25,000 rupees. And they said that we will give you this. We are planning to do something to Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. When something happens to him, you don't take any action. Now this was heard by that police. And that police said, no doubt we take bribes. No doubt we do all this. But we will not do this for this great sadhu. We will not do this for this great sadhu. And immediately on the same day, he went to Sri Siddhanta Saraswati and he said, this is what is happening in the background. Be aware. Be aware or something else will happen. You take care, this is the position of the entire situation. Can you imagine? When it comes to preaching like this, openly, and keeping the facts and figures in front, it's not easy. Even some preachers, current preachers also, they have so much of threat. I was speaking to some famous preachers in ISKCON, and they were telling that how various groups want to kill them. Because I was coordinating some program and then I got to know this. He said that don't put my schedule anywhere. And I said, Prabhu, why? So many people would come. If you put your schedule beforehand. He said, no, beforehand, the people want to kill me, they'll also come. Better don't put. Better don't put. My God. Very, all glories to all these great preachers, preaching forcefully with keeping the facts and figures in front and boldly continue to preach. And this is in Parampara. It's coming from Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur. There was once when he was invited to give a class. Again, his vrata is going on. Vrata is not over. This was March 1912. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was invited by a Maharaj whose name was Mani Indra Chandra Nandi Bahadur. And he had invited him because he used to organize something called as Kashima Bazaar Palace. So that was his palace, and he would be inviting various pandits for a conference to give a class on Lord Krishna. And Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was also invited. Now he went there, and what happened is there were some Sahajiyas there, and they were making sure that this person, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, shouldn't speak. If he speaks, our king will also get converted. He shouldn't speak. This is the power of purity, The power of purity is that when the person is pure and when he speaks, naturally the other person has to get transformed. Has to get transformed. The Ritviks, they say, there was a question that was asked, why you people, initially you start blaspheming that, all these gurus are bogus and this and that. So they were telling, see, if our people start hearing these lectures of these personalities, they'll immediately switch to the other camp. So we directly on the first go itself, we say, don't hear them. They're all bogus. This is the power of the current acharyas also in our ISKCON. Purity. Purity is the force. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada stressed so much on this point, purity is the force. So, when we maintain the purity, naturally, when we start preaching, we can do the needful for this entire mission. Before dying, we can contribute something and die. But if purity is not there, if the purity at the level of body, at the level of speech, at the level of mind is not there, we cannot do much for the mission. Maybe a little bit here and there we will do and get beatings and get injured. But the actual service for the mission, to propagate this mission, to maintain this mission, very difficult. Therefore, as devotees, we have to contemplate on this, how much bodily purity I am maintaining. Therefore, Prabhupada was very heavy on this point. 4 regulative principles: no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. And then when someone follows this on the gross platform, then on the subtle platform also things change. Why do we think that in Nectar of Instruction, first shloka, Srila Prabhupada is so heavy on Vacho Vegam? Don't speak anything else apart from Krishna. Why? Because when we speak only about Krishna, naturally the purity is maintained. It's natural. Therefore, it's a very, very important point to note and understand that we have to maintain purity at the level of Kaya, Vacha and Manasa, at all 3 levels. And if some devotee can do that, that devotee will do massive service for the mission. And we all have to struggle to do this. When we are struggling to maintain purity and then we are preaching, at that time also we'll be able to make some difference. And if you are fully convinced, Abhi Kaliyug mein kaisa purity hoga, chodo. Abhi service karna hai, we will keep doing other impure things also and we will do service also. And with time maybe we will become pure. No. We have to endeavor for purity. To maintain purity, it's not easy, no doubt, it's not easy. See, bodily purity and purity of speech to some extent we can still maintain, but mental purity, not that easy. Not that easy in the age of Kali, where there are so many allurements around. But a devotee who is determined to maintain purity, he will endeavor for that. He will endeavor for sure. And such devotees can do some real service for the entire mission. And we all should be doing that. How much Gaur Kishoras Baji Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur felt happy when they were seeing Saraswati Thakur doing so many services. Similarly, our superiors will be very happy when we will be able to do some tangible service for this entire mission. So he was invited there, and these Prakritiya, these Sahajas who were there, they were not allowing him to speak. He was there for 4 days, and 4 full days they didn't allow him to speak. So at that time, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he decided that I'll fast. What is the use if I am not able to speak about Krishna and do some service? What is the use? Better to fast. He fasted for 4 days. From 21st March to 24th March, he fasted. When the prasad would come, he'll just take tulsi from that. That's it. Nothing else he will take apart from that. 4 continuous days, and he'll keep chanting. And finally, 5th day, he got an opportunity to speak for 5 minutes. He spoke, and these Sahajas who were there, these Sahajas made Saraswati Thakur to shut his mouth. They didn't allow him to speak. And that was the time when he decided that I leave this place. And these Sahajas, they had told the king, you know why this person is not taking prasad from you? Because he considers you to be a low caste person. So he's not taking food from you. And so the king also was a bit puzzled that what is going on? Why is he not accepting food? And on that day when he was made to shut up, at that time he left that place immediately. He went to the railway station. The king also went to meet him, and the king asked him that why were you not having any food in my place? And why are you living like this? At that time, he made a very strong statement, very important for all of us, all practitioners. I did not get any opportunity to glorify Krishna and give the message of the absolute truth according to Srimad Bhagavatam. So how shall I accept your things? So it's very important that when we have service, when we do render some service, then we can accept something from someone. Otherwise we cannot. It's not that someone invites us for a feast and we go and nicely eat everything and clean up all their vessels and come. There should be some service that we should render. We should always look forward. Say someone has invited us for some feast or something that is luxury. Or whatever it is, we have to be, what happened? We have to be very careful. And we have to ask this question, what service am I rendering? To accept all this. So we should be very, very careful about these, not small thing, big thing only. We We do very careful. And look at Saraswati Thakur. He said, I was not given any service to glorify the Lord. How can I accept anything from you? And apart from that, the Lord does not accept the offered objects of a pujari who is blind to the knowledge of absolute truth. For that reason, it is not prasad. Two reasons he had. One is he was not able to serve by speaking, glorifying about Krishna. Second reason for not accepting prasad was people who were cooking there, they were not devotees. So there's no question of that food which is offered to the Lord becoming prasad. This is called a strictness of our acharyas. Why do you think Srila Prabhupada keeps speaking again and again, only prasad, only prasad, only prasad? Sometimes devotees, even when there is no urgency, there is no, critical situation, no apatkal, still devotees go to some restaurant and eat without onion garlic food. Prabhuji, I am following strict vows of not taking onion garlic. Arey bhai, it's not about onion garlic, we are not Jain. We are Krishna conscious devotees. We are accepted to take prasad. Therefore, Prabhupada would say, we are not vegetarians, we are Krishnatarians. He would make the statement. Now we have to ask this question, am I following this principle of only taking prasad? Our Acharya is setting an example. It's a very strong example. 4 days fasting. Just imagine if we don't get prasad somewhere for 1 day. I think half day is enough. Half day. See, we have to be practical. We have to maintain this body and we have to preach. And Sri Siddhanta Saraswati said, even on the day of Ekadashi, you can eat meat if there's nothing available, but continue preaching. We'll give the quote of the same person who followed a principle. So therefore, it's very, very important that we understand the core principles of Krishna consciousness and we have to see where do we lack. Therefore, nothing should enter our mouth which is not prasad. At times, for some devotees, it will be very difficult to follow. But again, the same thing. We should endeavor to maintain the purity. At least endeavor should be there. I know some devotees, they were shifted to some place and they didn't know much cooking. And it was very difficult for them to get prasad because temples were very far. That devotee, whom I remember, he was having only bananas, curd and chipped rice soaked. And for good 3 months he was taking this. Every day. Every day. Now this is something which is like commendable. Same, of our age, of our generation. Doing this. Very amazing. Very amazing. Therefore, there are devotees setting high level of example. Sometimes people say, "Kaun karta hai Prabhuji ye sab?" वो कर पाए, he is a manjari from spiritual world, उनको क्या है? वो आँख बंद करेंगे, मेडिटेशन में जाके वहाँ खा के आ जाएंगे. हमारा क्या होगा? हमारा क्या होगा? I guess. But the thing is that they are setting an example. Therefore, one thing is very important. Whenever we are hearing about the glories of acharyas, obviously we understand they are not ordinary human beings. But one thing we have to understand is they have the side of ordinary human being also in their pastime. And here they're setting an example. For 4 days he fasted. He told all this and the train was at night 11 p.m. And next day he reaches a place close to Navadvip in the morning too. He walks from that for several miles and goes to Yogapeeth. And when he reaches Yogapeeth at that time, in his earthen pot, he cooks rice and then he takes rice, offered rice. He takes prasad. This is called as nishtha. This is called as nishtha. Therefore, this nishtha is something which we sadhaka should cultivate with time. Jitna ho sakta hai, utna we should. And when it comes to renunciants, we have no option. It's only prasad. There's no other question. Yes. When it comes to devotees who are working outside and devotees who are family holders or grihasthas, at times, they might have some situations where they cannot follow this. But renunciants, there's no question. Now we have to follow only prasad. There's no question of eating anything else apart from that. Very, very important. One last pastime I would like to tell and end today's class. So he started his official preaching. This was in November 1912. Sri Siddhanta Saraswati went for a tour with devotees to different pastime places of Lord Chaitanya. And there, when he was visiting those places, He was preaching pure devotional service without any compromise. Pure devotional service. Wherever these acharyas would go, they would speak about pure devotional service. No masala anywhere. No, nothing. Nothing. And although Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was constantly immersed in chanting the holy names in Mayapur, still all the time he would be meditating on how to preach this mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All the time, that meditation was there. And then very nicely it is said that there was a person called Rohini Kumar Ghosh. He had an amazing dream, and he took initiation from Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. And then following his footsteps, there were two other people, who took initiation in 1913 from Sri Siddhanta Saraswati. And Sri Siddhanta Saraswati gave them the name Vaishnav Das and Paramananda Vidyaratna. And 6th February 1913, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati, he rented a large house, and the house rent was 36 rupees. And this house was in Kali Ghat section of Calcutta, and there he established this Bhagavad printing press. And this Bhagavad printing press, or Sri Bhagavata Yantra, which he used to call it as, he had this plan of publishing the important Vaishnava literature, especially Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures. And he called this particular thing as Brihad Mridanga. He called this printing press as Brihad Mridanga. Because he would say that Mridanga would make sound, and that sound will go to certain distance. But this Brihad Mridanga, that is the books printed, will go far and wide. Far and wide. And he wanted to print the second edition of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now this second edition which he wanted to print, which he obviously printed, he wanted to have the commentary of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is called as Amrita Pravaha Bhashya on Chaitanya Charitamrita. He wanted to put his own commentary also, which he called it as Anubhashya, as well as for Srimad Bhagavatam and other books. He wanted to print Bhagavad-gita, or he printed Bhagavad-gita with Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, which is called as Sarartha Varshini. And he also wanted to print, or he printed Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary on Bhagavad Gita, which is called as Rasika Ranjan. So he printed all this. He printed a great poem also called Srila Gaura Krishna Daya by Govinda Das. And this printing press was moved to Rajapatna in 1914 and later to Krishnanagar in 1915. So in this way, our great Acharya, he began his preaching. And for your information, he completed his Vrata in 1916. So we can understand that what it means to be a part of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, and then what it means to preach being a Gaudiya Vaishnava. It's very clear from this pastime. We have to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness and then go out and preach. Simultaneously, these two things should happen. We cannot say that, okay, I'll first become absorbed in Krishna consciousness and then I'll go out and preach. ऐसा नहीं होता. उनके लिए शायद संभव है, लेकिन हमारे लिए नहीं. We cannot sit for a day also like that. So our sadhana should be done with absorption. And remembering this pastime, we have to preach for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. There was an instruction given to him by his spiritual master, preach about the absolute truth without any compromise. And he did that. And we also have the same message, same instruction. The instruction is not changing in the parampara. Same instruction, preach. Therefore, this preaching, whatever we are doing in this mission, it's the bona fide service that all of us have got in this mission. And whoever is participating, they are going to receive a lot of mercy, no doubt about that. Therefore, on this auspicious day of 150th appearance of Srila Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur, we should begin pray to him. That, oh Mahashay, the absorption that you had, I don't have. In my 16 rounds only, 15 rounds I'm distracted. Yes. When I'm reading 10 pages, 9 pages I'm distracted. When I'm sitting in a class for 2 hours, 1.5 hours and 1 hour, 50 minutes I'm distracted. That is what is my current situation. And I'm expected to preach. I don't have purity of Kaya, Vacha, Manasa. Please help me, please empower me. Please empower me to maintain purity. Please empower me to be absorbed when I'm doing my sadhana, and please empower me to preach the message of Krishna consciousness boldly the way you did. Please bless me so that I get some taste, some attraction, some attachment for chanting the holy names offenselessly with love and devotion, and some taste, some attachment, some attraction to serve the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan consciousness the way you did. This can be our prayers for today. And let's offer Pushpanjali with this mood and begin pray to them. And it is described, these Vaishnava Acharyas are very merciful on their happy birthday, on their Vyasa Puja. And they're very mercifully, they'll shower their blessings, and whatever we ask, they will sanction. So let's do that. Let's take the opportunity and pray to them. Thank you very much. Srila Bhaktisiddanta Saraswati Thakur ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki.